Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lizzie, and for today's video we are watching Blacula. This is one that I am super excited to watch. Obviously a film I have heard of, but unfortunately have not seen, surprisingly enough. But I'm super excited to watch this one. I don't know if this one is one that is meant to be a comedy, or if it is meant to be a serious film. I don't know that much about it. I did read the little kind of information on the back. This is another one that I just rented out from my library, and it describes it as you have a African prince who goes to Transylvania to try and get Dracula to be on their side during the slave trade, and instead Dracula turns him into a vampire, of course creating Blacula. And I don't know if the rest of the film follows the standard Dracula story plot. So I'm interested to see how this plays out, and I will let you guys know my thoughts once I'm done. Hello, so I'm back. Just finished watching Blacula. I never know how to segue with these, obviously. I think this many videos in, I know how. Oh well. It just feels like starting a whole new video. But anyway, just finished watching Blacula, and holy smokes, guys, this is a good one. It is a serious film. It's not a parody or anything. Like I mentioned, I wasn't sure going into it, but it is a serious film, and it really does follow like the similar Dracula storyline, and even more so in certain ways. For instance, one of the things that they include in this film that I feel like has been lacking in the previous Dracula films that we've watched so far is Dracula, or in this case, Blacula's relationship with the Mia type character. In this film, her name is Tina, and in this film, she is very much drawn to him, and she's not sure why. And I have mentioned in previous films that I have not read the novel that it is based off of, but I do know that that is a big aspect of it, is that they have this relationship where she is the reincarnation, in this at least she is the reincarnation of his wife, and like I said, she's drawn to him and doesn't really know why, only he kind of knows, and he is obviously like trying to kind of get her, and he obviously like follows her, and he ends up explaining to her that he believes she's a reincarnation of his dead wife, and that he is this vampire, that he was turned by Dracula himself, and she is just kind of very much believes him because she is drawn to him. And so that is something that is kind of lacking in the other ones. In the previous ones we've watched so far, obviously, it's more so that the Dracula character sees a picture of Mia, is infatuated with her, and then goes to England to like follow her, and he like basically stalks her, tries to turn her into a vampire. In this one, he tells her that he's not going to force her. He tells her that he wants her to go with him, but he needs her to do it by choice. And I loved that because I know that is kind of supposed to be a part of it. I know that there are other Dracula films that have that, but unfortunately the ones we've watched so far do not, and I really liked that they put that in this. Obviously this one also does tackle some serious subjects. It tackles, racism, especially within kind of the police force, and them not really taking the crimes that seriously at first. You have this doctor, Dr. Gordon Thomas, who I believe he's like the official police examiner. I'm pretty sure that's what he is. And he kind of is like the enemy of Dracula in this. And he even kind of calls out the like police captain, I guess, for, the fact that there's like this missing paperwork, and then eventually like the bodies go missing, which all is done by Dracula, but it's clearly like not the first time that this has happened. And I really like that. They also somewhat tackle homophobia, or it's more, they don't really tackle it, but it's just very obvious within the film. I mean, this is the 80s. There's some words that are used that I'm not going to repeat that start with F. They say that in the film, but the said by characters they kind of already aren't a big fan of, like the police captain, and I will say that was one kind of issue, even though, like, I'm glad that they, like, include that stuff in the film, because obviously that was an issue, because two of the characters within the film, which were kind of characters that I had a little bit of a problem with, are a gay couple that kind of his first victims as he awakens into the 80s. They are this interracial gay couple, which totally awesome, and I felt like could have been a better job with them. I feel like if this film was to ever be remade, and if it does, hopefully it's by Jordan Peele, because I would totally watch that, actually. Ooh, maybe. That would actually be really cool if he did remake this film. Anyway, I'm getting off track. But if they, I feel like they could definitely do, like, better with those characters, because they are kind of a little stereotypical. They're very, like, over-the-top flamboyant, because I feel like the Bobby character, he seemingly just kind of has a lisp, but he still is, like, a little bit kind of over the top, but his partner is Billy, and he is, like, a little super over the top, and I feel like it was not the way the actor was, because I feel like Bobby, I mean, these characters are very early on in the film, and they are main center of the film, but not alive, like, after their death, and so I feel like maybe the actor who played Bobby had a lisp naturally, and so that was kind of like, okay, I don't know, it's just weird, and I feel like Billy was just done a little too over the top, and that kind of was like, ew, eek, at first, but I mean, I do feel like at least they were trying to include representation, I think. You know, and, like, even if it's not great representation, it was still representation, and this was the 80s, so I'm not going to hold it against it too harshly, especially given that that was really my only problem within this film. I loved it. I thought it was a great adaptation of this film. I know that they do talk about this film in, on Shudder. There is a show called Horror, I'm going to say it wrong, Horror Noir, or something like that. I have yet to watch that, but I really do want to watch it. I'm sure you guys have ads pop up all the time for it, at least for me. I don't know about anybody else. I really need to watch it, and it's about, like, the treatment of black people in horror films, and I do know that they talk about this film in that, so I really do need to watch that, and kind of get another perspective on the film. But from what I've read, because I did do a little research, good things, as far as representation, because the majority of this cast is black. There are some white characters in it, but they're side characters, which I think was a very new thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think for films in general, but especially for horror, this was probably, like, a pretty new thing. And I loved it. I thought it was awesome. And like I said, I felt like it was super, super accurate, even though I have not read the books, novel, but from what I have heard about some of the details, just regarding, like, the relationship, of course, like I said, between, Dracula and Maya, or Blacula and Tina in this. And yeah, I really liked it. I also liked the way that it ended. Spoiler alert, Dracula basically sacrifices him, not sacrifices himself, but kills himself. Tina is killed, and he tries very hard to just get her out and not have to turn her into a vampire, which I also liked, but she ends up getting shot, and so he does turn her into a vampire to save her, and she ends up getting killed anyway, which is very sad. And so, because the love of his life, his only reason for living, dies, he steps into the sun to sacrifice himself. And he is hella creepy looking one step. Like, he gets all, like, it's not like poof, he's dust. He's like, gets sunken in, and there's like maggots and bugs coming out of his face. And it was fucking awesome. And yeah, I really liked this film. I thought it was an amazing adaptation. If you love Dracula films like myself, and you have not watched this one for whatever reason, highly suggest it. And if you have seen this film, let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below. If you did enjoy this review, please do give it a big old thumbs up, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button for more horror-related content, and I will see you guys again tomorrow with another video.